Instead, he's going to be going for the Mongols. Mongol versus English, man. Am I the only one getting like weird vibes? Like, these are just not matchups I feel like I see anymore. Everyone's playing the French. Everyone's playing the Abbasids. Everyone's playing the Delhi. Not these guys, though. English, just, especially on Dry Arabia, if your name's not Muslim, I don't expect it. And B, coming in with the Mongols, someone that you would see in a lot of tournament play, but you just wouldn't see people do on the leaderboards, right? A lot of the time when we're seeing people in Dry Arabia on the leaderboards, it's definitely your Abbasids. Decent amount of Roosters appearing. French still makes a lot of sense, but it should be fun. Let's see what we can do. Yui, of course, just won the English mirror we took to Ancient Spires, but this is no longer a mirror. We have to start thinking, who has the edge in this one? This is one of those weird ones where the outpost rush doesn't really work against this particular civ. So it might be that the English kind of has an edge, because I think that the Mongols feels kind of crippled right now. They're nowhere near as strong as they used to be. And one of the big kind of crutches that the Mongols have had that's helped them a lot in these troubling times, this civ, it has to be their outpost rush. One outpost, block out resources, slow down your opponent's timings. But you can't do that against the English, and the reason is quite simple. Some people would think it's because of the spear logic, right? Like, typically when you go for an outpost rush, you build spears. You'll be building spears against a civ that builds lombos. That doesn't feel good. That's not the reason, though. The real reason is if you try to rush English player, their villagers have short bows. They have ranged attacks. They're the only civ that does this. And they can just immediately kill, not even your spears, they can just kill the villager building an outpost. And that ends the assault entirely. And then you just wasted resources on 150 wood for a Rax, and then, you know, however many spears you built, right? 80 resources each, usually is 4 of them, so that's going to be a 320 resource investment that doesn't actually slow down the English player at all. So instead, B's going to have to play for a different timing. We'll see what he wants to do in this game. Maybe it's some sort of 2 TC play. Maybe it's some sort of Castle Age rush. 2 TC play can be pretty cool against the English, but one key thing to emphasize here is if you're going to go for a 2 TC rush, you need to confirm that there is 0 aggression coming your way. Because if an English player builds 4 or 5 lombos and your idea is just to Castle Age rush naked as the Mongols, that's all it takes. 4 or 5 lombos is actually enough to kill you. Because another issue with the Mongols is because they optimize their TC placement, they pull it next to a resource so they have a drop-off point immediately. What they're doing is they're forfeiting other resources. So English are actually very good against the Mongols because what ends up happening is if the Mongol player plays greed for either TC or Castle Age, look where his gold is. Unless he sets up an outpost, 4 or 5 lombos arrive here, you're done. We'll see where Yui wants to go with this. Looks like Yui is actually insulating himself with the farms early on. Interesting choice. I wonder if this is because he didn't get too many sheep. He could play deer, but then deer offers up an opportunity to raid. A Mongol player will happily take that. And Mongol players are pretty good at it because they can easily go into a few horsemen with yam. And, well, we ain't going to see yam the same way this time. Look at this difference. B is going for the silver tree. Now, this used to be one of his signatures. He loved doing this on the Mongols. Haven't seen it in a while. Very ambitious to do it on a map like Dry Arabia when it's this open. Because if he does actually set up trade on the east side, bar a stealth forest or 2, there's 0 cover. So this could very easily be revealed ahead of time. We'll see if it pays off. Another issue as well is if you're setting up for donkeys early on, if you're going into trade initially, it means that you're not going to be building military units to defend yourself. So once again, this is another layer to the gambit is if Yui goes in for a few lombos, your entire game plan flatlines. That's not to say it can't be recovered, but it is to say the price of recovery is going to be high. Council Hall is now going up, so you stopped at 3 farms for the time being. A lot of sheep going the way of B, actually. He got a hell of a lot of sheep out of this. I'm pretty impressed, considering that he only had 1 scout. Then again, that's true on both sides, but if you look at the difference, right, it's 9 sheep compared to, how many did we get up to? 13. It's a pretty good start here. A few of them extra did get clubbed by Yui, but overall, this difference, by the way, doesn't hurt the English. They can set up farms really cheap, 37 woods. It's not the end of the world. Where it does hurt is that you've allowed the Mongol player to have a more comfortable start to the game. And that's why I actually think when you're talking about civs that it's worth going second scout against, a lot of people only put Roos in that category still. I think with certain civs, especially against them, it's worth going for a second scout against the Mongols. Because what you end up doing is forcing pasture transitions early on. And that's 150 wood each. And you know, long term, they pay for themselves, but short term, it cripples your ability to play feudal as the Mongols, which is a really big deal breaker in my eyes. There we go. Trade's going to start up. Looks like he's setting up... Oh, wow. He's setting up a market over here. Okay, this is an interesting change from B. And it's actually a smart choice here. So typically what you see a lot of people do is they'll take the crap trade to start with and then they'll pack up the silver tree and move it away. Instead, B ran a villager all the way west to get a reasonable trade line going. And it is going to be attracted. So I take back what I said about the trade being a bad idea because I thought he was going to go east side for long and it was just going to be bad, right? Because you couldn't go for the southern trade. Like, it's just a weird position for you to go for. If you went for east side, it's full open ground. But instead, he's set up on the west side where he's got a stealth forest and 2 wood lines. So it should be very hard for Yui to intercept this. The bad news, however, is Yui sniffed out the marketplace quickly. Now he knows where to strike. And just with a small group of lombos and spears, he doesn't need to go for the base necessarily. He can just go for the marketplace. That small group is now on the way. More spearmen to come, and you can already see horsemen being prepped, as well as the archery range coming for B. The problem now for B is he chose to use the stone to get double traders. So he doesn't actually have double production, which means he's actually producing military from behind right now. And you can see that on the raw count. Like, it's 8 in the field versus now 2, because I think an archer just came out. And can't. We'll at least get eyeballs on the assault force on its way. Now, one upside for B is he's the defender, and Yui's not going to send a trickle of troops because horsemen will pick him. So Yui has to wait for 2 spears, 2 lombos at a time to send them across. And it means that his aggressive timing is actually going to be delayed by an extra 20-30 seconds. However, when that timing does come, there's a lot of ground B needs to defend. I think he needs to get an outpost up, and he needs to do it ASAP. We can see that now coming. The outpost is required because he needs the yam for the trade, but it's also going to be garrison points for the traders when they come under attack. And small groups of spears won't be enough to deal with those outposts. However, if Yui goes up to 10 to 12 spears, different case, different matter. These farms being laid and the blacksmith's now coming. It does feel like Yui's posturing for a very good fight around the 9-minute mark. Trade is at least wrapping around the north side for B, so that's the good news, actually. This placement in the marketplace worked out ideally for him. I think going for his base would be more risky because it means you're passing this point. Now he's playing the very back of the map, and it makes it more frustrating for the English player to reach him. It's been that English player. Looks like he's going to go north. Interesting. So this is actually a pretty cool idea by Yui. He wants to block off the trade at one end, but he's going to block off the end that's also where your economy is. The risk with doing this, though, is it's on the north side of the Mongol base, so your troops can actually get pinched. But the start isn't too bad. Takes out one of the donkeys. And now he's going to wrap south. I prefer that he backs off here. I genuinely think if he went in, he dies. Because the big issue that English players have is when they play on maps like this and they end up on the opposite side of their opponent's base to where their base is, they can't reinforce anymore. And you're playing a static comp. Like, your troops just can't move away. Good pull away. Got the donkey just in time. Looks like he's going to pack up the silver tree and move it away. Good choice by B as well, because being on the front line there, he's just actually sacrificing donkeys as they come out. Lombos are going to start exchanging. Horsemen are being kept at bay, but the spears, there's barely any of them left. You can see the archers are able to quickly gap close as well. Just a few spears remaining, but it's enough to keep the horsemen at bay, but he needs to get more out here. Actually, instead, Yui doubled down on Lombos. Oh, no. I mean, honestly, he's going to lose the army, I think. Or if the archers... No, wait, what? Okay, maybe not. Because the archers didn't finish off the last spearman. So more damage done. Second wave coming in. Lombo trade out definitely doesn't favor him, though. I think B got the better side of this exchange. In fact, if we look at more military, you can see he's killed more. And also, these units cost more. The reigning horseman can easily clean up. Just one spearman out here. Keep in mind that this isn't good enough for Yui. While Yui's building farms behind this, which will escalate his economy, B is building trade behind this. He's already up to 10, so this is going to get very uncomfortable. If you look at the income, you can really see that impact. Gold and wood looks phenomenal right now. Food is actually not that far behind. I think that Yui may be in a bit of trouble here. He's got a lot of military pushing out in the field, but it's slow to arrive again. And by the time it does, I actually think B's going to have a good enough defense force. In fact, at this stage, B could just choose to mass archers, and it would hold. Yeah, actually, I think this is... Unless Yui can attack the caravans in the next 2 minutes, I think this game might be just full B favored. The only thing B's really missing is the blacksmiths. Oh, okay. Well, he's not missing that anymore. So I'd say you prioritize undermesh first here just to get in range, and then steeled arrows afterwards. In theory, though, playing trip archery range, you could just go straight steeled arrows because you'll have more raw DPS increase than your opponent. Because right now, Yui's probably only playing 2 archery range, right? As in the council hall. So you now outproduce him, and you outmaneuver him. You see Yui, man. It's just, he needs to be on the north side. He's not doing anything to hit economy, which is just benefiting B more and more. If Yui was gathering stone behind this and going for a second TC, it's actually like not bad what he's doing. But it's just an all-in play. He needs to get siege engineering if he wants this to work, though. It looks like he does have it already prepped. And he's getting the iron undermesh. The outpost on the front side could be a big deal for Yui. It kind of has to be, though, because B's about to take the military lead in the next minute. Yeah, I think this is also why a lot of English players moved away from the Lombo rush. You're seeing the issue for Yui, right? He's just sitting here staring. Now, the logic is that it's good to be sitting here and staring if you're idling eco, but he's idling nothing. He got blocked out of this play by 2 to 3 outposts. And now he has nothing. But a ram and a dream. Maneuver arrow, B. Interesting choice, but he wants to try and stop the tower going up. In fact, he'll be able to do that. One more strike. Can he get it? Oh, too late. He'll stand his ground, though. Not for long. That was almost so big brain from B. The maneuver arrow to get in, but the archers just were not quick enough. A good idea. In a world where you have Yam, it works. But without it, no chance. So outpost goes up. That's at least blocking out gold, but I mean, Yui, in a normie Mongol matchup, this is a winning play because the Mongol has no gold. This is not a normie Mongol. This is a trading Mongol. And he is getting a lot of trade. What does that mean? That means B doesn't run out of gold in this game. So you can't even argue that he never gets castle. In fact, what's going to happen here is Yu's going to have to keep investing in military and slowly losing in terms of pop cap. And any moment that he stops is the moment where B will tech up. And this push in. Archer mass willing to take the fight here. Horsemen are baiting so much fire. It's actually just going to be a win for B. He'll rush through. Garrison at least came out from the 5 spears, but whoopty frickin' doodah. He's just going to walk straight past it. Stand his ground. Khan is still alive, and 10 seconds that attack speed arrow is going to make the difference. In fact, it's interesting that he doesn't even target out the Khan here. And with the boy at arms now hitting the field, Yui tries to change the script, but maybe a little bit too late. Because I don't actually know if you have enough firepower here to offset the archer count. In fact, watch what these archers are going to do to the men at arms. Whilst the Lombo is going to be brought down. And after that, these guys, I mean, they're wearing plastic for armor. He at least got the undermesh upgrade, but you're still seeing 2 of the damage go through. Means archer balls aren't the worst solution against men at arms. And in the meantime, the horsemen were cleaning up the outpost. This is the beginning of the pushback. I mean, this is the losing battle now. The word of the day is chalked. Attack speed arrow is now going to come out. Gatling gun mode has been activated. That means the men at arms won't be able to stand for long enough for that. There's big question marks as that's how Yui stays in this game. I mean, he never went for a second TC. He went for trip racks as well. B is now getting to a ridiculous amount of trade. He must be up to about 16, 19 deep now. This is done. There's going to be a snowball effect across the map. The best move Yui can try to make is maybe reach castle age, but his resources invested. And the problem is because this kept snowballing with fight loss after fight loss, he's now stuck in a rut. Like, he has to reproduce what was lost to even try and defend. And it means he's never getting to castle age. He's never getting to second TC. Speaking of castle age, by the way, that's on the horizon for B. He stopped producing military, and he's still trading well with what he has remaining. And while he trades, he's now making his way up. And I expect this to probably be the Kurultai. Yeah. Another play he loves. He loves going Kurultai when he goes for the Silver Tree because you don't need the additional gold anymore. Kurultai actually got buffed a lot. It's never really been mainstay, but it's always been kind of been creeping up, right? So they made a change where now it just heals all units. You don't need the Khan in range. But if the Khan is in range, you get that 25% damage buff for, I'm trying to remember how long it is now. Maybe 15 seconds? 20? I think it's quite long, which is a substantial difference, actually. Well, Pasha's also being set up, so it's not even like B has the risk of coming out of his base. And Yui doesn't even wait around. He sees the tech up. He admits defeat. B showing us the Silver Tree isn't a meme. It can be a dream. Or if you're Yui looking at this eco chart, a nightmare. Good lord. Yeah, I honestly like the Silver Tree play. I think it's not a shoo-in against every Civ, but I think it's pretty good against the English when they try to do a feudal aggression. Really good identification there. Paid off incredibly well for B. I think the really heads-up play in that game that turned it around into a pretty easy dub for him is his choice to set up a marketplace on the west side away from the open ground behind tree lines. Those tree lines are a nuisance. You have to think about like the difference in time. Like if you were to pathfind with these lombos, how long does it take you to get from one side of the tree line to the other where the trade is versus if there's no tree line at all? I think those differences really make or break here. It also creates natural choke points and defense points that mean that B doesn't need as many outposts to hold the area as he otherwise would. If he got forced to do trade on the eastern flank, it's entirely open ground. He would have needed double the amount of outposts to secure it, and that would have offered up more opportunities for Yui to punish him. But other key detail is B didn't go full greed. Remember that that marketplace wasn't at the other corner of the map. It was more like 2/3 to half the way along, because he understood that that length was close enough to his base that reinforcement rates to the fight would always be on his side. And I think that's also why Yui didn't waste time going west and just tried to dive the base. He kind of got stuck into a bad situation in the end. And I think I mentioned there, he got stuck into a rut. Once he takes one or two of these fights badly and he's full speed to invest into military, Yui's already stuck there. Or to put it in an English way, he's in for a penny, in for a pound. How well would that do against a couple of horsemen or a tower in the market? You think Yui could have done more? I don't think Yui could have done more with horsemen, because the issue you then have is all you're doing is you're trading one problematic unit comp for another. So if you build horsemen as the English player and you try to march west to deal with the trade, the Mongol player will also build horsemen. But he'll gradually build more because his trade's online, so he's getting extra income anyway. He's also double producing occasionally. And then he has Yam. The Yam is the deal breaker. The idea isn't bad, what you're suggesting, Blitzkrieg, against anything but Yam. But what you have to remember is even if you don't take the Deerstone, the Mongol player still gets Yam on cavalry. So horsemen will just mirror horsemen. But because it's the Mongols with movement speed, they outdo the English horsemen. They're always able to outmaneuver them. So an interesting idea coming from you, but ultimately I don't think it leads to anything different for him. Because the problem is when the Mongol player's on the defensive, like you can't outmaneuver him. I think the only way that that idea works is if you have horsemen before the outposts even go up.